Selling Principles in Sales Management, presented by Wanda Bell. Coaching and skill building concepts in a retail environment. First, let's look at some coaching concepts. Be mindful of what is occurring on the sales floor. Now, you may not be able to be on the floor while fulfilling your own job duties. However, an accomplished trainer will observe what an actual customer withstands and not just take the sales associate's word for it. Next, take the time to watch behaviors. The main objective here is to witness conversations between the sales associates and the customer to see how the customer's body language is reflected. Is the body language saying, "Go away, I do not need any help"? Does it show the customer being restless? Did something make the customer second guess the purchase? That is something to always keep in mind. Next, keep your ears open to the conversations that are taking place. Is the sales associate being too aggressive with the customer to try and get them to make a purchase? Have open communication. This allows relationships of trust to build between you and the sales associates. Trust would allow them to be open to constructive criticism and be willing to ask for help. Next, show the salespeople the correct way to sell products. Make sure you are always up to date on processes and procedures. How can you properly train someone if you do not know yourself? Be aware of any repeated issues with the merchandise as well. Next, skill building concepts. First, let's look at multitasking. Quality managers need to be able to supervise all the sales associates, being mindful of their skills and any shortcomings while giving precedence to different projects. All this while still being productive. 2. Decision making. Quality manager should be able to assess and determine what decisions will make the store profitable. Oftentimes, these decisions must be made quickly and without any mistakes. Leadership. Quality managers have knowledge into their sales associates, their supervisor abilities, their ability to hear, and their problem-solving abilities to motivate and keep their employees excited. An example, constructive criticism, showing respect, and leading by representation. Next, motivation. A quality manager knows how to keep the sales associates stimulated by setting attainable goals that will make the company successful. Organizational skills. A good manager is able to make improvements to the process and procedures of the company, realigning methods, being able to bring in the best and finest sales associates, and also making sure they are trained properly and then be able to decrease costs. Effective communication. Good managers are able to transmit the points they are trying to get across to their sales associates while still staying attentive to those around them. And then making the first sale of the day. A good manager will come from around the counter and go out onto the sales floor and make a sale to show the sales associates it can be done. This eliminates the excuse that no one wants to make a purchase. The principles of developing a relationship strategy through developing effective interpersonal communication approaches. Let's look at 7 things. Number 1, expect good motives. When we expect good motives, we are likely to stay away from disastrous conversations. Instead of being on the defense, we are able to assist each other in dealing with the problem. 2, other person's opinion. It is good to understand the other person's opinion. This makes it less difficult to come up with jointly favorable results. 3. Openly hear. When we openly hear, we are most likely to better understand the point of view of the other person and reply with compassion. It also gives you a chance to ask the other person a question to make sure you comprehend what they are truly saying. 4. Sharing my point of view will allow the other person to see how I view the world, so we can work together effectively, communicating with one another and showing compassion and understanding. 5. Common ground. Common ground would allow each person to come together during a conflict, helping to ease the tension and see eye to eye in the situation. Number 6, keeping the lines of communication open will decrease annoyance and also build trust. And 7, talking up for yourself is the most empowering thing that you can do. Let's look at establishing ethics as the foundation for relationships and selling. But first, let's define ethics. Ethics are honest rules that control an individual's actions. So, let's look at 7 of these. First, be truthful. A sales associate cannot make untrue claims about the merchandise to influence the customer to make a purchase. 2. Respond to complaints. Sales associates may brush off a customer's complaint, and that isn't right. Put yourself in place of that customer. You wouldn't want anyone doing that to you, so please don't do that to them. Treat every customer equally. Sales associates may show favoritism to certain customers and even give them bigger discounts. 4. Be honest about the merchandise. The sales associate should never secretly withhold negative information about the merchandise from the customer. Next, do not pressure customers. The sales associate should never make it seem like the product is about to sell out in order to try to persuade the customer to purchase it. Next, pricing should always be accurate. The sales associate does not have the right to increase prices or give fake discounts for merchandise when a price is not clearly stated. And then lastly, stay committed after the sale. The sales associate does not have the right to make promises about the product and then do not fulfill those promises once the merchandise is sold. Techniques for dealing with customer concerns and objectives. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I want you to think about how you would handle this because it happens often. Okay, you go into your favorite store and make several purchases. Keep in mind the only reason you went in the first place is because they were having a 40% off sale. You make your purchases, check out, and when you get back to the car you discover you were charged full price. Now your initial thought is to go back in the store and receive your discount. However, the line is so long, but you really want your discount. When you finally find a salesperson, you are told that you cannot receive the discount because you left the store. You politely tell the salesperson you would like to return everything. Now ask yourself, what should have happened? Good question. So let's take a look at some techniques for dealing with customer concerns and objectives. First, the customer concerns. We need to be attentive and make sure to have full knowledge of the customer's issue. We need to give the customer our full attention so we can understand their anxiety. We need to try to understand how the customer feels. Now, after listening to the customer's anxiety, we need to have sympathy immediately. This builds trust and allows the customer to be at ease knowing between us and them, the issue will be taken care of. Next, we need to offer a recommendation for solving the issue. Now, there's always an answer to a problem, but first we must focus on what we are able to do to resolve the issue and not on what we cannot do concerning that issue. Follow through with whatever recommendations we have listed to resolve the issue with the original desired proposal or come up with an alternate solution. Then, the very most important thing, we need to see it through and make sure the issue is resolved. Now, after doing the previous steps, be sure to check up with the customer to make sure they are pleased with the outcome. Now, let's look at some customer objections. 1. Recognize regular conflicts. There are some well-known sales objections that come from the cost of the merchandise, the importance of the merchandise, the not knowing enough about the merchandise, time, and also frustration. 2. Have a setup of retail counterclaims. Use the proper technique that supports the cause of the objection. And 3. Document the counterclaims so they are easy to find. Have a document of everyday objections and their after effects that you can have thoughts of. This will truly help you in your day-to-day activities in the store. The fundamentals of training, compensating, and motivating sales associates. Let's look at the whole objective here. It is to help the organization to generate proposed outcomes by honoring the sales associates who make those results happen. But before this can even take place, training is a must. Now, when we look at the training side, we need to look at how we can establish relationship and confidence. We need to be attentive to what the customer is saying. Your attention as a sales associate should be on comprehending the need of the customer. It is never about your need, but always about the need of the customer. Make a connection with the whole customer at the onset of any social interaction. Use the same ideas of communication that is used by the customer. And always, always be respectful. Now, the ability to present merchandise. Remember, anything new excites customers. When displaying merchandise, bring together different designs of clothing. Show merchandise that the customer really wants to see. And any new merchandise should be placed near the doorway to catch the customer's attention. Now, we can always use small amounts of well-phrased concepts about the merchandise throughout the store to familiarize the customer with it. And then we need enough intelligence. Now, when I say this, I mean we need to be able to describe the similarities and differences in the merchandise. This allows the sales associate to make suggestions to the customer concerning that merchandise. Having the ability to gain control of any differences of opinion about any merchandise. This allows for the ability to become aware of the customer and build relationships, allowing them to see how your merchandise can even be beneficial to them. Next, compensating. Now, compensating is a well-created incentive plan that supports the foundation for effective retail operations and a go-getting personage in an always changing sales environment. Let's look at a few. Wages. When we talk about wages, this is just an agreed upon payment that is usually paid weekly or biweekly to the sales associate. Percentage of sales paid. The portion of the amount or settled payment dependent on a certain amount of sales made by the associate. Bonuses. A monetary reward that is more than the usual expected payment. Now, these are normally used by companies to honor good performances of sales. And then we have gratuities, which is simply a tip given by the company in Thanksgiving to the associate for receiving good service. Now, lastly, let's look at how we can keep sales associates motivated. Now, this can be done through participation training, which allows the sales associate to try on the merchandise while role playing as though they were the customer, enabling them to better understand the details of the merchandise and also enabling them to kind of put themselves where that customer would be and know how to better help them when choosing merchandise. Also, immediate rewards or gratuity. Sales trainers should have the ability to instantly reward sales associates who are up on their knowledge. Special feature training strategy. These training sessions may last a few weeks or months, allowing a determination to succeed strategy, even in the adversity of sales. One-time training incentive. This type of training allows enthusiasm in the sales associates to build up amongst enthusiastic sales associates. Presentation and customer contact skills in a variety of situations. Now, let's look at the presentation skills. Number one, persuasive presentation. We are living in a time when everything is digital. Customers are engaged, influenced, and even persuaded to visit certain brands of merchandise and enticed to spend more money. Now, in a retail environment, it is never about the sales associate, but always about the customer. So raise the customer's interest about the merchandise. Instructional presentation. This is a brief presentation talking about particular merchandise within a company to gain the attention of a customer. Informative presentation. This is used to introduce clearly defined reports of current events or facts for achieving certain objectives or tasks. Inspirational presentation. This seeks to improve morale or expand awareness about a particular product. Now, let's take a look at some contact skills. First, understanding emotions. Understanding emotions of a customer by showing them you can relate to their wants or desires and any worries can lead to long-lasting relationships. Adjust to different environments. This brings about the understanding that each customer is different, so adapt your selling method based on the circumstances. Timely manner. Take your time with each customer, making sure you have satisfied their request. Don't rush them. However, try to do this in a timely manner so you can do the same thing for the next customer. Easy to understand dialogue. Stay focused and make it your priority to answer the customer's questions in a clear, respectful manner. And then lastly, understanding of merchandise. Being a sales associate, you should at least concern yourself with in-depth familiarity about your company's merchandise to enable the customer to make a decision about purchasing that merchandise. Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later. Thank you.